Hello everybody, and before we get started, I just want to say that I am not going to be including characters in this video that are mentioned but not seen. This goes for characters like Henry, Emily. But with that being said, tonight I'm going to mainly be focusing on human characters from the Five Nights at Freddy's video games. And I hope to make this into a series in which I can talk about the book characters as well as the movie characters in their own separate videos. But with that being said, welcome to Five Nights at Freddy's Human Characters Explained, Part 1. Let's get started, shall we? Now, I think the first order of business is to talk about the man who started it all. This is William Afton, aka the Purple Man, the main villain of the early Five Nights at Freddy's video games. William Afton was a serial killer, responsible for the murder of a dozen children or more over his lifetime, as well as the founder of Fredbear's Family Diner and Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. This sets the series into motion due to the victims haunting the animatronics and Afton influencing the events from the shadows. However, the vengeful spirits of William Afton's victims would eventually come to see William for the monster he truly was, and they would come for him. However, William was prepared, and he lured the animatronics inside of the safe room, where he quickly demolished them with an axe. However, the animatronics were not done with William just yet, as they began to haunt him, scaring him so bad that he retreated into the safety of his Spring Bonnie suit, which was ultimately his downfall, as the Spring Bonnie suit was kept in the safe room, and the safe room had a leak in the ceiling, and the water from outside leaked inside of the room and landed on the Spring Bonnie suit while William was wearing it. And this little drop of water was enough to set the spring locks off, tearing William apart and brutally killing him. However, this was not the end for William, as William went on to possess the Spring Bonnie suit, similar to how the victims of his murders went on to possess each of the animatronics they were stuffed into, with William being reborn as Springtrap. In the world of the books, specifically the novel trilogy, William Afton has changed his name and identity to that of a man named Dave Miller, and he is a late-night watchman for a mall which contains an abandoned Freddy Fazbear's Pizza location. After breaking into Freddy Fazbear's Pizza to reminisce about the old days, Charlie and friends do encounter Dave, who they think is going to be mad that they're here, but actually is just kind of fine with it. And Dave himself seems to be a pretty chill guy, albeit he does have a little bit of a creepy vibe to him. However, this facade quickly starts to crumble when Charlie and her friends realize that Dave Miller isn't actually Dave Miller, but instead William Afton. After everybody split up to go and check out Freddy Fazbear's Pizza and explore, Carlton is taken by William Afton in the Spring Bonnie suit, with Jason being the only witness to this heinous crime. William Afton takes Carlton into the safe room, where he locks the door behind him and puts him inside of a spring-locked torso. And he basically tells Carlton that if he moves or speaks too much, it will set the spring locks off and he will brutally be killed. When Carlton asks William how he knows all this, William reveals to Carlton that his whole body is covered in grievous scars, with him laughing, saying, "How do you think I know?" After leaving, the crew does notice that Carlton is not with them anymore, but they don't believe Jason's story that he was stolen by a yellow version of Bonnie, so they go and they talk to Clay Burke, who is Carlton's father, and he basically says, "Oh, it's probably just some prank. He does this kind of stuff all the time. I wouldn't worry too much about it." However, the crew do come back the next day to find Carlton kind of slumped over in this torso of a spring-locked animatronic. And so Charlie saves him and manages to get him out of that spring-locked torso before William comes back and is like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. And they quickly knock his ass out. I'm not even joking. Charlie literally whips out a baseball bat and starts hitting William with it until he passes out. Where did she have this baseball bat? After some time, William would awaken once more, and he would be tied up, unable to move. The kids would begin to ask him many questions, however, he stared blankly, unresponsive. And he would only begin to talk to the kids once Charlie gave him the Spring Bonnie helmet, in which he would go into a villain monologue.
When it gets dark, the spirits will awaken. They will kill you all. I'll just walk out in the morning, stepping over your corpses, one by one.
They'll kill you too.
The spirits of the kids you killed. Why would they kill us? It's you they're after.
No, I'm quite confident that I will survive. They don't remember. They've forgotten. The dead do forget. All they know is that you are here, trying to take away their happiest day. You are intruders, grown-ups. None of you will survive the night.
And what makes you think they won't kill you?
Because I am one of them.
And with that, the crew have had enough of this terrifying nightmare, and they attempt to leave the pizzeria. However, much to their horror, the animatronics are indeed now hunting Charlie and her friends, and so the crew is tasked with getting rid of the animatronics if they ever hope to escape and see the light of day again. And it is during this final battle that we get to see the true unstoppable ferocity of the animatronics in action. Freddy Fazbear is shown to be able to lift up a table and throw it against the wall like it's nothing. We see Foxy tear apart an entire arcade, throwing arcade cabinets around like they weigh nothing. Animatronics Freddy Fazbear and Foxy the Pirate Fox get flying ninja kicked by John, and this doesn't seem to do anything to them except put them out of the fight for a little bit. You'd imagine that the force of the impact would cause the animatronic parts to be damaged, like the servos locking up or the endoskeleton kind of jumbling around a bit inside the suit, but this doesn't really seem to faze the animatronics as they continue to hunt Charlie and company around the pizzeria. Even Charlie herself gets in on the action, parkouring down a hallway. Now, eventually, Clay Burke, the chief of police in Hurricane, Utah, arrives at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza and has a very brief and intense standoff with William Afton in the Spring Bonnie suit. Charlie's friends are able to escape and get behind Chief Clay Burke and the police. However, Charlie is not lucky, and just as Charlie is about to get away, William in the Spring Bonnie suit grabs her and drags her back into the pizzeria, saying that she and her friends are not going anywhere and that they are going to stay with him for all eternity. And this is when Charlie snaps the trap on William, triggering a spring lock failure, which brutally kills William. He is then dragged away by the Fazbear Band into the darkness of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Novel trilogy Willy would also go on to become a version of Springtrap. In the world of the live-action movie, we see a much older version of William Afton, years after his original killing spree of the 5 children that would become the Fazbear Band. William has changed his identity and his name to evade authorities. He is now a career counselor, helping people get jobs who otherwise might not be able to. He goes by the alias of Steve Raglan. Steve Raglan, aka William Afton, is portrayed by actor Matthew Lillard. And he helps the main protagonist of the movie, Mike Schmidt, played by Josh Hutcherson, get a job after a certain incident that transpired at his prior arrangement. Now, at first, it seems like William is just having fun, poking fun at Mike's misfortune, but when he does find out what Mike's last name is, he all of a sudden changes his tune and starts being really nice to Mike, offering him coffee and such. He does say that he has one job available for Mike, and it's a security gig at a place called Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Whilst originally hesitant about taking the security guard job at Freddy's, Mike eventually agrees to it because he needs to provide for his younger sister, Abby Schmidt, played by Piper Rubio. And so he takes up the job as Freddy Fazbear's night watchman. And this is where he gets a pre-recorded message from William Afton running him through his tasks and what he'll need to do throughout the night. While it is never confirmed, it is implied that William Afton is the current owner of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. And the reason why he won't let this building be demolished by a wrecking crew is because he's holding it as a testament, a trophy to his most brutal act as a serial killer, successfully killing 4 victims and getting away with it. Now, over the course of the film's story, Mike befriends a local policewoman by the name of Vanessa Shelley, who tells Mike all about Freddy's, and it's actually revealed that Vanessa is the daughter of William Afton. And because of William Afton's connection to Vanessa, he finds out that Vanessa has told Mike too much, so he plans to go to Freddy's to kill Mike and kill his sister. However, Abby, Mike's young sister, draws a picture showing the ghost children what truly happened. And the ghost children turn against William Afton and cause him to have a pretty brutal spring lock failure, which seems to be very agonizing for William, but doesn't downright kill him. As even by the end of the film, William is thrown into a back room by the animatronics. And we can see that he is just laying there in abject pain and fear. He is suffering. He's so weak, his body is ravaged. He is barely alive. And I would assume that sometime after the credits roll, William would eventually perish. And I would assume in Five Nights at Freddy's the movie 2, he will become Springtrap. Elizabeth Afton is the daughter of William Afton. She is characterized as a little girl. She has pale white skin, is a strawberry blonde with a lovely bow in her hair. She has brilliant green eyes and usually has a hot pink button-up shirt and can be seen either wearing navy blue shorts or a mini skirt. However, in the Five Nights at Freddy's novel trilogy, Elizabeth's appearance and attire change from time to time. She wears a multitude of different outfits, and even her hair color seems to change from blonde to brown. Now, when it comes to Elizabeth's personality and character, it is super vague. From what we can tell, Elizabeth appears to be very childlike. She looks up to her father, loves his creations, and might even be a little bit jealous of Circus Baby, in the way that her father spent a lot of time working on the Circus Baby animatronic, so Elizabeth wanted to be Circus Baby so that her father would spend more time with her, and this actually led to Elizabeth going to see Circus Baby even after her father begged her not to do that, because obviously what Circus Baby was programmed to do, but she's a little kid after all, and she went to see Circus Baby and died very brutally. Prior to Circus Baby killing Elizabeth, Baby had blue eyes. But after Elizabeth's death, Circus Baby gained green eyes, which showcases that Elizabeth has now possessed the circus baby animatronic. Now, after the events of Five Nights at Freddy's, the sister location, Elizabeth, aka Circus Baby, will go on to become a reoccurring villain in the franchise, appearing in games and titles such as Five Nights at Freddy's, Help Wanted, and Help Wanted 2, Five Nights at Freddy's Pizzeria Simulator, Five Nights at Freddy's AR Special Delivery, and even had a starring role as one of the villains in the Five Nights at Freddy's novel trilogy. Evan Afton, aka the Crying Child, is the main protagonist of Five Nights at Freddy's 4, the final chapter. Evan is dressed in shorts, a black shirt with 2 white stripes across it, and has messy hair. He is always seen to be crying as he is constantly afraid of everything. More specifically, he is afraid of the animatronics at Fredbear's Family Diner, with Fredbear particularly giving Crying Child nightmares. And these nightmares that Crying Child has of the animatronics twist the animatronics into nightmarish and demonic monsters. And whilst Evan is afraid of the Fazbear Band to some degree, most of his fear of animatronics comes from Fredbear. While never outright stated, it is implied that Evan saw something horrible happen with the Fredbear animatronic. And because of that, it has scarred Evan so badly that he is deeply disturbed by Fredbear. There is one other animatronic that Evan appears to be afraid of as well, again, more than most of the Fazbear Band, and that is Foxy the Pirate Fox. Evan is scared of Fredbear because it's implied that he saw Fredbear or he saw something happen with Fredbear that was super disturbing and it scared the absolute shit out of him. But the reason why Evan is scared of Foxy specifically is because out of the animatronic dolls he has of the Fazbear Band in his room, his brother is always stealing the head off of the Foxy doll. And he uses this head as a mask to jump out of unsuspecting places and scare the shit out of Evan. So at this point in time, I have no idea whether Michael Afton is evil or if he's just kind of a jerk. And the reason why I'm at this sort of debate is because he seems to have genuine remorse and feels really bad for what's about to happen next. So at Evan's birthday, he gets sent to, obviously, a place that he's terrified of. He gets sent to Fredbear's Family Diner to celebrate his birthday. His brother is there, and his brother invited a bunch of his friends, and many of the people from the community are also there. And Evan's just not having a good time at all, and his brother's like, oh, it seems like you need to go and kiss Fredbear. And so him and his friends decide to grab Evan, the small child, and they carry him over to the show stage where Fredbear and Spring Bonnie are performing, and Evan is freaking out and he's crying, and so his brother and his friends pick up Evan, put him dangerously close to Fredbear's mouth, and because Fredbear is a Springlock suit, once Evan gets put inside Fredbear's mouth, those jaws loosen and they come down, killing Evan instantly. Now here's something that I'm sure not a lot of people noticed on their first playthrough of Five Nights at Freddy's 4, the final chapter, and that is that Nightmare Fredbear has blood on his fangs. If you look closely at Nightmare Fredbear's fangs, you'll notice that at the base of the teeth is a reddish-pink smear. This is most definitely Crying Child's blood, as none of the other animatronics have this reddish-pink stain on their fangs. And then you have Michael Afton, otherwise known as Michael Schmidt, who is pretty much just the everyman in the FNAF universe. There's nothing too special about his character, he just seems like a regular dude, although he does have a major role during the events of Five Nights at Freddy's, the sister location. He is the main character of that game and is coerced by the main villain of that game, Circus Baby, into going into the scooping room and having his skeleton and organs scooped out. Also that the Funtime animatronics could use the skin of Michael to escape the underground bunker that is Circus Baby's entertainment and rental. And they succeed at first. However, little did Circus Baby and the others know that human flesh tends to rot after dying. So this leads to Michael's decomposing body rejecting the animatronic endoskeleton parts inside of him. Michael is presumed dead as he collapses after this happens. However, much to the horror of Michael, and I guess to some degree the player, he stands up again and seemingly walks off to enjoy the rest of his life, quote unquote. This is something that Michael even mentions shouldn't be possible, that he shouldn't just be alive after having something like that happen to him.
But something is wrong with me. I should be dead, but I'm not.
Whilst we never get to find out what truly happens to Mike after the events of Sister Location, it is implied that Mike set out to stop his father and his evil deeds. In the world of the Five Nights at Freddy's live-action movie, Mike Schmidt is played by actor Josh Hutcherson, and he is a down-on-his-luck guy just trying to find a job after his previous job didn't go so well. He is trying to provide for his young sister, Abby Schmidt, played by Piper Rubio. Now, of course, depending on how you look at it, this could be either a good thing or a bad thing, but Mike eventually gets the job at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza as a night watchman. His job is to keep the place tidy and to make sure nobody gets inside. Over the course of his week at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, Mike would run into a local policewoman by the name of Vanessa Shelley. Vanessa Shelley seems pretty nice and is openly friendly with Mike and even occasionally dropping cryptic bits of lore about Freddy Fazbear's past and why the place was shut down. Given that Mike Schmidt is the main character of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, it comes as no surprise that Mike has a lot more character to him compared to that of his video game counterpart. And they've also decided to drop the whole connection to Mike and William, at least biologically. Mike and William are still heavily intertwined in their stories, as Mike is heavily connected to William because Mike is forever playing back the day in his mind of when William abducted his little brother Garrett while they were at a campsite. And this has forever haunted Mike, and it's become part of his everyday life where he basically takes special pills that are supposed to help him connect more with his dreams and try to make sense of the trauma that he's been haunted by for so many years. And even when questioned as to why he has sleeping pills by Vanessa, he gives a very elaborate explanation. He says that when he takes his naps at Freddy's, when he sleeps there, he feels more connected to everything that happened, almost in such a way where he can change what happened. Even Mike's relationship with his younger sister, Abby, is super wholesome. And whilst the movie tries to paint it as being a fractured relationship, this couldn't be further from the truth. Yes, Mike is not the most emotional or emotive guy. He's very reserved and keeps to himself. It is shown that he deeply cares and loves his sister. He is shown multiple times to mess around and goof around with her, and maybe not to the same extent that Abby messes around with him and shows a lot of affection for her brother. He still cares for her. Even when having a discussion with Abby's teacher about the Aunt Jane court situation, he says that Aunt Jane doesn't want Abby because she thinks she can take better care of Abby than Mike can. She simply wants Abby because of the big check she'll get from the state for taking care of Abby. On top of Mike goofing around with his sister, feeding into her fantasies, admiring all of her crazy drawings, Mike isn't afraid to step back and be more authoritative with her. He is her older brother, yes, but he is also her parental figure, and he wants to look out for her and make sure she makes the right decisions. And after unsuccessfully getting away from the animatronics, being beat up by most of them, and having his shit rocked by William Afton in the Spring Bonnie suit, it was Mike's idea that actually put a stop to William Afton in the Spring Bonnie costume. He told Abby to draw a picture that shows what really happened to William Afton's victims and how they came to possess the Fazbear Band. This is something that was brought up earlier in the film by Abby's teacher, stating that kids exclusively seem to react to images before learning to talk. And so with this in mind, she draws a picture, and the spirits possessing the Fazbear Band register and understand what this image means, and they quickly turn against William, causing him to have a brutal springlock failure. Abby, Mike, and Vanessa escape as the pizzeria collapses with the Fazbear Band and a dying William inside. Alright, it seems like this will have to be continued at a later date because we're already nearly 30 minutes into the video and I haven't even talked about Vanessa, Gregory, or Cassie yet. But I guess I will do a whole separate video on just the security breach cast of human characters. But with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. Do take care. Let me know what you guys want to see in the future for Five Nights at Freddy's animatronic characters explained. And with that, do take care. Have a great night, and I'll see you in the next video.